Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Life is About More Than Living, a podcast. Tonight, we'll dive into a very timely topic with the immigration lawyer, Andy. I'm going to let him pronounce his own last name. I didn't catch that
It's
name.
Semotiuk. Semotiuk.
Semotiuk. Semotiuk. I believe you, my followers, my subscribers, my listeners and viewers on YouTube, since we're streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn simultaneously, uh, can relate to what's happening as far as immigration, especially here in America.
Right.
And I chose a quote by a very disliked politician by the mega crowd as the underlying quote for tonight's show. But I think it touches upon a lot more that I can talk about, and definitely what uh, lawyer Andy, can speak on. Rashida Tlaib, pronounce the name terrible every time I say it. She is quoted as saying, "When I think of immigration, I want to think of families. I want to think of unity. I want to think of a safe space, free of persecution, place where we can welcome a child that is hungry." There's a lot in that quote. I firmly, personally believe that we here in America and in certain other places in the world are not living that out to the fullest. But enough of me. I'm going to let my guest speak, give you a brief bio. If you'd like to learn more, his website is there in the link. You can read the brief bio in the context of the show. And we're going to let's take a deep dive into a few hot button issues, especially now, such as immigration under Trump, which is what I try to avoid this conversation. But I think there's a lot of good that can come from the conversation. International law, however you choose to speak about it, and how to immigrate to the U.S. or Canada, which some people are strongly considering. Pack the bags, going. uh, but anyway, enough of me. Life is about more than living a podcast, and I think this ties into some are being deprived more so than others, but truly having a life that's truly about more than living.
Right.
Here you go, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for the introduction and for the prospect of working and talking with you tonight. I'm very excited about this. And you've picked a wonderful topic to talk about immigration. And this is a field of deep concern to me and something I've been working on for many years, decades and decades.
Wow.
Uh, Maybe it would be best for me to tell you a little bit about my background so people who are listening will have a better way of evaluating what I say and whether what I say makes sense and judging what may not make sense, etc. So, by way of background, I'm a Canadian, born Canadian, uh, actually of Ukrainian background. My parents came from Ukraine and immigrated to Canada. But my mother had a sister, Aunt Helen to me, who lived in Los Angeles. And it was my fate to live half my life in Canada growing up and half my life in the United States with Aunt Helen. They shuffled me back and forth between the two women.
Okay.
And that turned out to be a theme for all of my life, even my professional life, to this very day. Uh, a little bit about the early days. For example, I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, which is one of the coldest places as a city in the
Ooh.
world.
Yeah, we're having chills here now in North Carolina. It's crazy.
Yeah, right now I'm in Toronto now. This is where I'm practicing. But as I was growing, temperatures, just freezing as we're going to school. And you had to have a car heater to keep the car going in the morning and things like that. Um, so, as I mentioned, I was shuffling back and forth, and I ended up in high school in Los Angeles. So, I'm an immigrant to the United States. And in that regard, I can share the kind of sentiments and feelings and thoughts that immigrants who came to the United States have. But I'm also an immigration lawyer, U.S. immigration lawyer. I'm a member of the New York and California bars in the U.S. as well as Ontario and BC and Canada, so I can understand
Wow.
both ways how people feel. And my life has been all about the immigrant experience, both personally and professionally, as well as family history wise. So that's background. Now, currently, the big issues are in the United States, as you know. And there's a lot of division, shall we say, and some apprehension about what's going on in the U.S. And we can get into that conversation in more depth. If there's anything you want to ask in particular, please feel free to jump in and ask me whatever questions you may have.
Oh yeah. There's sometimes my YouTube subscribers will pop in. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. I'm still working on this technology.
Mm-hmm.
Should someone type a comment or request it, and I'll pass it on to you.
That'd be super. But I'll address what's going on right now to start. And if any viewers or listeners want to ask a particular question, if you can pick it up and forward it on to me or whatever, we can address those things too. So the big issues right now are the two deaths that took place in Minneapolis. And there's a great deal of consternation about the portrayal of the deaths of this Renee Good and Preddy, who, from videos that people have seen, appear to have been shot by ICE agents in circumstances where, according to video viewers and comments by people who have looked at the videos, including high-level commentators, popular show hosts of television shows and radio shows and so on, the comment being that excessive force was involved. That is to say, in the circumstances, what should have been reasonable did not take place, but rather the ICE agents involved. And there's even, I believe there's a report of another few cases around the country.
It's been possibly more than 20 cases. Only, I'm going to say it for what it is. These cases are catching attention because in America, white Americans are not supposed to be killed, versus minorities and people that speak with accents are usually killed. I even watched a video where the ICE agent asked the individual, "What country are you from?" And because of the ICE agent's accent, the individual asked the ICE agent, "What country are you from?" Because they both had the same Spanish accent.
That's fantastic. And it's true that one of the great concerns is race. And just to give you one example of concern, the administration, the Trump administration, has declared that they're going to cancel the TPS, temporary protective status for Haitians in the United States, which is, if anybody knows much about Haiti, and I'm no expert, but I know enough about Haiti, the gang violence there and so on, that this is not exactly the greatest time to return people to Haiti, as one simple example of what's going on in the. Now, these are people who are legally in the United States, and they are canceling the program to oust them out from the United States to Haiti, where they will face severe prospects of harm because of the gang violence that's going on there, which is why the TPS program was endorsed for them in the first place. So it's not easily understood.
Yeah.
The same is true for, by and large, like you point out, someone who speaks Spanish or Spanish-looking people from Mexico or Latin America, Venezuelans, et cetera, et cetera. By and large, the current ICE enforcement officers who are going around the country appear to heavily be attacking people of non-white background and trying to ship them out. Now, the argument goes, oh, well, we're after criminals. And, we want to get rid of, deport criminals. But these people are not, well, okay. Nobody, I don't think any sane person, including us, hopefully, in our category, wants some, lunatic, killer, rapist, murderer to be protected and to remain in the United States. We're all behind deportations of heavy criminals, felony criminals.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because these agents are not going into gang-infested territories at all, regardless whether it's an Irish-type gang-infested territory or a Spanish-speaking gang or a black gang. They're not going into territories and neighborhoods where there are actually gangs with guns that can shoot back. But that's all I'm bringing in there, because there's been no one in any of these neighborhoods, even in Chicago.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you go and continue, because you're right on point with everything, and I fully agree with what you're saying.
Okay, the biggest concern I have is well, first of all, there's lawlessness. These people, in my opinion, are going around lawlessly attacking individuals who are citizens or have rights to be in the United States, instead of what should be attacking or identifying, targeting true felony criminals, people, serious criminals who need to be deported. But the selection is so blurred that many innocent people are being arrested and deported out to, El Salvador and, places, to countries where they don't even come from, but are being deported there for the sake of getting them out of the United States because of the agenda, the immigrant agenda that President Trump has introduced, which is not a immigrant-friendly, shall we say, program. Now, it just so happens that before this program, I've been looking into the issue of, justice and injustice and the Justice Department in the United States, and what happened when Trump was reelected, etc. And in that context, there's a book called Injustice, in particular, that I'm reading by two former prosecutors, U.S. prosecutors, who recorded the history of the department and where it ended up under President Trump. And the essence of it is that those lawyers, prosecutors, who were the top prosecutors in the department, who regarded their careers as being dedicated to the Constitution of the United States and to the law and to a system of, rules-based justice, those individuals were cleaned out of the department, and replaced by individuals who were loyal to Trump or who saw themselves as Trump supporters. And the notion was that with Trump now in power as president, their job was to promote the president's agenda, that was their highest priority, is to implement the program the president wanted to implement. The challenge being that contradicts the role of a proper prosecutor
Mhm.
who's acting for the people, for the country, in the national interest, such a prosecutor is not beholden to the president or anyone else. The notion is the top priority is the Constitution and the rule of law, and they are to be guided by those concepts and comply with what's required in that way, and not by uh, a policy of retribution and
Mhm.
attack of enemies of the current president and the administration. That's the challenge that we're facing.
Yeah, it's a challenge that I was convinced of before he got elected will take place in spite of the rhetoric, because in the first administration there were seasoned business individuals and some seasoned politicians who provided pushback against some of the things that are happening now. Because in spite of the roles they set in and the leeway they allowed him to have, or the guidance they gave him for what we could see in the press at least, when it came to rules of law that would directly affect them or maybe their own family members, then these individuals stood for that and they left willingly. They were not the Pam Bondi types, I would
No,
say.
that's you're right on the button there. Um, it seems from what I'm observing, from what I see,
Hmm.
a critical question that is a dividing question in America is the question who won the previous election between Trump and Biden.
Yeah,
Those who say that Trump won the election are in the MAGA camp and currently are in positions of power or
yeah,
influence. Those who see that election as a proper election that elected Biden, that those are people who are, in my estimation and from what I can see, truth tellers,
yeah,
people who call a spade,
right.
who know that uh, the government is not a place to exercise your personal agenda and go after your enemies and try to tear down the system that is there, built in theory and in practice to
Mhm.
protect us, you, me, and others.
Right.
The people who are out on the streets, these ICE officers who are walking around in you know,
Yeah,
incognito. You don't
right.
know who the heck is this guy, and
Yeah,
with guns and like armed, like it's an army. Like
yeah,
these people, their role is supposed to be to implement immigration policy and protect us from illegal immigrants who
exactly.
are dangers to us. But instead of protecting us from dangerous illegal immigrants, they are the danger to us, and
That's,
they're arresting
yeah,
fathers and mothers and bringing up families and taking them off to El Salvador and other places in extraordinarily cruel circumstances. Like um, there's a level of inhumanity, of cruelty, of incivility that is infecting the immigration system in the United
yeah,
States, and that is essentially undermining and tearing apart the rules-based order that made America the great country that it has been.
yeah.
And with all its sins and shortcomings and, you know,
But it was,
assassin.
but overall, it's lived out the essence of what I've been told, because I haven't been there yet on the Statue of Liberty, which is to give us your tired, your poor, your hungry. Is the quote was there to bring us these individuals, and we will make room for them.
Yeah.
Because after all, in a sense, now you said what you said. We got thinking about it. Even though I firmly believe America is a stolen country, a stolen land, people of my descent, many of them were forced to come here. Others were already here. Their lands were taken from them. But
Yes.
all of this for 250 years or since the founding of this country, the underlying current has been that well before, even back when the Irish and Italians were the ones that were persecuted, looked down upon during World War II, of the Japanese, and we all classified together. The underlying country has been, as a nation, immigrants with all of its faults, all of the division. We have still found a measure of cohesion where we came together,
Yeah.
and the good of the collective has won out and silenced the voices of those which seem now to be speaking loudly because they are in positions of power and they're trying to make us see this Orwellian type thing. Yes, you see this. You've seen the murders. You've seen the people being deported, but it's not real. But
Yeah.
it is real because you can see it.
It's amazing. It's like
And so the
incredibly,
ideals are still there, though, because of people pushing back and individuals such as you who've made a lifelong career to tackle this and to
yeah,
see the shift in this country as well as in Canada.
yeah, yeah. You know, and when I look back at America, I've been around a long time. You know, like I remember America as early as in the 50s,
Wow.
and you know, I've been in New York for many decades. You know, through and through, visiting and then living,
Right.
etc. And there's been substantial change, much to much benefit, but
Mhm.
also a lot of hatred and shortcomings in terms of how good America could have been and how
Mhm.
good America could be even today if only the leadership was a good, solid leadership. But unfortunately, the leadership that is currently sort of running the country
Yeah.
and running the immigration program, uh, it seems like those killings. Some people call it killings. I think you can say at least shootings.
Yeah.
And if you call a spade, you take a look at the videos and you decide for yourself what you think happened, whether this was a proper use of force on the part of the ICE agents or not.
Yeah.
In my view, neither of the two most prominent ones.
Yeah.
You know, this is
I think for also, in my view, because the training of the ICE agents has been cut, also the qualifications of the agents have been cut. Also, the background checks of these individuals is not taken as seriously.
yeah.
According to what I've read and heard, uh, I went on Indeed.com the other day looking for a part-time gig,
Hmm.
and when I'm seeing this job listed so much for any John Doe, Joe Blow, whoever out there, that to me that lessens what the expectations are for you being someone with a gun in your hand. Because to me, yes, Indeed is a great site to look for jobs. I'm not knocking Indeed, but for you to run that many ads on that site for this position and the qualifications are, I, I'm going to just say it for what it is. It's my show. People can get mad if they want to.
Yeah.
When it seems to me they receive less professional training in a sense, based on what I saw, than basic law enforcement individuals as far as the human element goes. Uh, I need a background check. I need an in-depth background check for a part-time gig at UPS. But
Yeah.
the standards are this for this, and you get a gun, and your standards are this.
Yeah.
now, but it weren't that way before this administration.
Yeah.
Now, I know technology and people are being flagged, and I firmly believe everything's being monitored, and I really don't care because I don't think neither one's saying anything off the cuff other than the, the old saying is you get what you pay for.
Well, not
Believe it.
necessarily, because these people are paid a lot of money,
A
hundreds
lot
of
of, right.
$100,000 and
In this case, you're not getting what you pay
50,000
for.
bonus. I mean, that's a lot of
Yeah,
money. But
which,
basically,
yeah.
you know,
But when it could go to anyway, I'm gonna stay on topic. I'm gonna stay on topic. I can get rambling. I'm gonna stay with you. Go
I
ahead.
know, no, but I appreciate, I appreciate I appreciate the sentiments.
Yeah.
And but the real question is, how can we get back to a more normal and decent and noble and honorable
Uh,
immigration policy?
for
And that,
me, it's simply surviving to the midterms and hopefully not have an ICE agent guarding the polling booths like we in Nazi Germany.
yeah,
And hopefully Minnesota will stand its ground and not surrender the voter records over to give people intimate details. They want them to go get them having the other means necessary. Because
that,
there's not I don't believe it will stop anything, but it will slow down the tide of what's happening should we be able to survive to January. And there is a blue wave, so to speak, and some of this can be stymied. I can only go back to snippet of the videos I've seen of certain politicians, such as Mike Johnson. It's like, if we lose the midterm, we know what's going to happen to the president. So if you're that afraid, then that should tell you something is being done wrong in this whole policy.
yeah,
Because why should you be afraid of a fair election and change? And I do wish we had younger blood in our Congress.
yeah.
That might not happen in my lifetime, though. And
Uh, um, I'm hopeful that we last to the midterms and that the
I try not to
midterm,
say hopeful, but you're right. I'm hopeful we left.
yeah, like there's serious concern that
Yeah,
uh, the Insurrection Act is going to be invoked,
yeah,
and because uh, America is under turmoil, they could say, well, we have to cancel the election because
yeah,
you can't hold an election in these circumstances. That is a danger that
yeah,
could arise. And martial law is
yeah.
another sort of a more serious step in that
Seriously, thing.
direction.
Yeah,
And it's hopeful, or I think we have to ensure that anybody who is not happy with how things are going behaves properly. It shouldn't be running around with guns shooting people. I'm not sure that's a solution to anything.
no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
That's why I would go back to it as we started with the deportations, with the, the killings. I'm gonna use your word for it. I got another word in my mind.
yeah,
Not only Renee Good, but the gentleman recently, uh, them invading the churches, them
yeah,
invading the school grounds, uh, the level of violence displayed towards American citizens. I think that's right. I made a word
yeah.
up. Citizens,
Citizenry. Yeah,
citizenry is not equitable to the protest happening.
yeah,
Uh, there were more violent protests, regardless of who instituted it, during the George Floyd incident and other
yeah,
incidents.
yeah,
Uh, but there was a lot. I said that's why I said who I don't know who instituted it. I wasn't there. I know I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I saw some of the damage done there
yeah,
at the time. But when it gets back to what's happening now, uh, there's been, because I think technology is more available even now than it was a few years ago. There's been no real there hasn't been a violent protest worthy of here what we see here that's happening in places like China or Korea or
yeah,
other places. even going back to Portland, Oregon, you have bunnies and rabbits and bears protesting. The violence is not met. The protests aren't met up with the violence displayed towards the protesters. All I'm trying to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
regardless of even the Fox News Network. Anywhere you look, for the most part, people have been just out there exercising their First Amendment rights
Yeah.
to speak freely. And in a way, it's just mind-boggling to me because everybody has cell phones and people can record stuff and you can see different angles.
Yeah.
And that's not been any justification really for any of this.
That's really great, actually. The fact that people are able to record what's going on has introduced a level of accountability that was never around before. So that's a good sign, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the whole issue really boils down to measured reactions.
That's the word.
Yeah. On both sides.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the ICE side has been over the line and there's no accountability. Like nobody's going to be punished. Nobody's being drawn before the courts and questioned about what's going on. That's the big problem. Since Floyd, going forward, there's this lack of, like Floyd, fortunately, the system, wasn't perfect, etc. But there was accountability there.
Accountability, yeah.
We need that kind of thing here too. Like,
and now with presidential immunity in place, it's not really.
That's a problem. That's a big problem with this immunity business. Throwing it out like candy to anybody who's done anything wrong. So we're in a society where there's a competition between lawlessness and lawfulness. And at the top, in theory, everybody's equal before the law and should be treated equally before the law. But these get out of jail free cards that are being handed out and the misconduct, in my opinion, that is being endorsed or at least tolerated has to stop. There needs to be, the courts are or should be the adjudicator of what's right and what's wrong on the streets.
Right.
But it appears that the biggest problem really is that ICE agents need to be withdrawn from, Minneapolis and places
or any other city to the degree they are.
Yeah.
Like talking about
enforcement, going after criminals, no problem. Serious.
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah.
But otherwise, the rest of this immigration issue inside the United States is something that can be sorted out without violence and without people being beaten up and families being pulled apart and people being killed, etc. This is all unconscionable or what's the word? Inappropriate behavior.
I'm beginning to wonder what's going to happen when they send those ICE agents to Italy.
Oh, that's another question. They don't want them there. They said they don't want them.
But if they're required, Italy holds them to the same standard that they're applying here, they would not even get out of the airport. They would not even make it out of the airport.
Yeah, big trouble.
Because
but it's interesting that Italy is saying no, we don't want these people. I mean, that's a sign. Listen, America was for generations the leading source of civility and fairness in judicial and legal fairness in the world.
So
to have descended to this level.
Because think about it. America as a whole, especially starting back to people like me, we survived the Civil War. We made changes. We came through Jim Crow in the South.
Yeah.
I remember going to the segregated bathroom here in North Carolina. I'm 63 years old. I had to go outside and go around back to the colored people's bathroom. It wasn't that long ago. We have survived the marches and the buses. We have came through, not perfectly. No nation is perfect.
Yeah.
We survived the hatred of we survived through World War I, World War II. We have survived, and we came out as a nation of immigrants who have found the strength to come together. And now we're being viewed as the nations that we once were enemies of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
saying this in a sense like one of my favorite movies is based off a graphic novel called V for Vendetta. And they made the movie around, they tied in the Obama years, but the way they portrayed him is actually happening with the Trump administration in this sci-fi movie. And I'm like, after watching that movie 3 times, based on a certain graphic novel, and, and I'm like, please don't let us get to that point because so much was happening in that movie is happening now in this
yeah.
country, and instead of being here, we're now like here.
Right.
As
Let's
far as
talk.
especially immigration.
Let's talk a little bit about the the population that's being targeted,
Okay.
and what it consists of.
Well,
I think generally the statistics establish that there are about 11 million, perhaps more, people in the United States without legal status.
okay.
That is to say, people who came to the United States either improperly, that is to say,
Uh-huh.
snuck in, crossed the
Yeah.
border through the Rio Grande River, or most popularly, arrived as visitors to the United States and then became overstays
Well,
as
well,
being
we
in.
got we got Elon Musk for that one, but I'm gonna name it. But anyway, go ahead, continue. I had to throw that out there.
So these are the people who are the items of concern, shall we
Right.
say, of the administration. And there is a fairly significant portion of the population who is not happy that these people are in the United States, even though I think something like 60% of that population of 11 million
Yeah.
people, if let's put it this way, let's say roughly about 2 million of the 11 million
Mm.
are the properly targeted felon criminal types that
Yeah.
need to be ousted from the
Right.
United States. We're all in favor of that. I think,
Yeah.
now,
No one would disagree.
yeah,
Except for I'm gonna throw this in there. Majority of the crimes based even on the government statistics have not been committed by immigrants or people of color.
right.
Even here in North Carolina, less than 60 miles away, there's been another politician arrested for child pornography
Oh, Lord.
who is of the mega crowd. But no one is saying that because they look like this. Not my gloves I'm wearing tonight, but
Yeah,
they don't look like me.
yeah,
Uh, and so I bring that back to the conversation because it seems like when people want free immigration, people come in primarily from my research. They want immigrants that fly in, that cross their border, that come
yeah,
in by other means of transportation. But and even though they may not be documented, to go ahead and speak, I'm gonna speak on the lie that's been told. They're working. They're
yeah,
not getting any benefit from the taxes they're paying.
right.
They're
Yeah,
contributing to this country. Everybody, regardless of your race. So our economy has been better, and they're doing jobs a lot of us wouldn't do.
exactly right. And I get your concern about the fact that these Proud Boys and these types that were released from jail
Yeah,
uh, are part of the animated groups that are out there to stir the pot in terms
right.
of getting after people, and they have a racial agenda.
Yeah,
That there's something there for them.
but they're missing the fact that these people, I say these people who are undocumented, who may be illegally, who are not up the thing you said 2% that are actually violent or should be deported.
Yeah.
These individuals have shored up our economy.
Yeah.
This country has been about for years and
Well,
years and
hold it.
years and years.
Let's be clear about this. The felons, these criminals
Yeah,
that are
that's what I'm
here,
saying. That
those
number,
two
I think you said
million,
what?
those two
Yeah,
million, we're not talking about them. We want to talk about the 9 million who are here, who are undocumented, and who are living lives where they're working, paying
that's what I'm saying.
taxes.
That group is
Yeah,
contributing to the country
yeah, we're
and
on the
shoring
same
it up.
page
Yeah,
there. We're on the same page.
yeah.
And,
That's what I'm
and,
saying. Yeah,
and
we're on the same page. Yeah,
the key thing there is most of them, I think about 60% of them, have been in the United States for 10 years or longer.
yeah. I'm gonna throw one thing out there. Maybe just a real life example. When I was doing in the transportation industry, uh, I had this lady and her son. He was born here, so he was, of course, automatically a citizen here,
Hmm.
such as other individuals I'm not going to name, one of the famous people. She said to me, and I took her for her word, she's like, she'd been here over 15 years from Mexico trying to get a green card. But someone from another country in South America could come here in less than 5 years to get a green card. Because the stereotyping of her being from Mexico,
Hmm.
like she must be XYZ.
Yeah,
And I'm like, for real? She's like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know it was like that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Processing is a topic all on its own that can
Okay, well,
be.
maybe we'll skip that one if it's long, like detail, but go ahead. Because we're gonna do it. We're only doing like maybe an hour because I have to get ready to go
Sure,
to rest and go
sure.
to work tonight. But I
Uh,
didn't want. I wanted you on, and this is a great topic for us
oh,
tonight.
absolutely, absolutely. But anyway, those 9 million, shall we
I
say,
mean, yeah, yeah,
they're the ones that are they deserve closer inspection and better treatment than it
yeah,
appears they are getting,
yeah.
not to mention American citizens and permanent residents and
Right.
people who have work permits or study permits
Yeah.
and are in the United States legally, but are being mistreated and in some cases deported to places that they've never been to before.
Right. Never seen. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, little kids. It's just what's happened in the last year.
Yeah. So the question really boils down to how is this possible? How is it possible that this country, America, would actually deport people abroad, people who were legally citizens or permanent residents, etc.? Like, this is beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
It should not be happening. And one of the key players in this equation that's missing are the courts. The
Yeah.
courts need to defend and review all actions that are being taken before the courts.
Yeah. I firmly believe there's a day of accountability coming from the courts.
Yeah.
I don't think that time is now because the courts were stacked during the Mitch McConnell years.
Well, there is some stacking there. That's right. So again, what's happening is the finest and the best are not necessarily those who are sitting on the bench
Right.
in the United States because the selecting process has been politicized.
Yeah.
And instead of people who are dedicated to the law and to fairness and to equality before the law, etc., the defining characteristic of an appointment is how much they, supported financially the election of a given person,
Yeah.
or whether they have some ties to, uh, given individuals who have a slanted agenda, or
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would tie you that is back to both parties. Okay. However, just because I'm extremely liberal,
yeah,
I do think that over the years, in that liberalness, there was a balance of choosing people based off of qualifications
yeah,
versus who gave the most money.
that's the
Some
problem.
people may argue with me on that point, but
Yeah,
even now, I'm beginning to see that some Trump-appointed judges are now rendering decisions contrary to the administration's favor.
yeah, Well,
which means that they are loyal to the
hopeful
law, in
sign,
my opinion, more than anything
hopeful
else.
sign, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, in the end, uh, my sort of sense of people is even bad people have some good in them,
yeah,
but even good people have some bad in them.
yeah. That's true.
And, if you're saying, I'm not biased, I have no bias, you have to have a good look at yourself and really consider, every person has certain preferences, because you were raised a certain way, you come from a certain background or whatever it
Yeah,
may be. But the idea is to be as objective as possible,
exactly,
to uh,
exactly.
to uh, minimize your biases and advance your thinking and your actions in a way as nearly as possible
Yeah,
to what is right, what is decent, what is honorable, what is civil in society,
yeah,
and consider the welfare not just of yourself and your pocketbook, but the welfare of the general population,
yeah,
and that they be treated honestly and properly the way you would like to be treated were you
yeah,
called before a court or in some way being
yeah.
looked at in terms of prosecutions and
Yeah,
stuff like
that's kind of like where I wish I downloaded that 35, 40-second uh, clip. I know it was only a clip of an encounter where that I mentioned earlier. And then in the clip, they did let this individual go. But he literally asked the ICE agent, "Where are you from?"
that.
Based on your accent.
Yeah,
They both had,
yeah.
but they both had Spanish accents.
Yeah.
Like, and it
Oh
was
my gosh.
kind of, it was sort of comical, but it was serious about it. And eventually, according to it was legal.
Yeah.
And they let him go. It didn't end badly. Could have ended badly. It didn't end badly.
Hmm.
But it also could have, I think it ended the way it did because he literally asked him, "Where are you from?"
Yeah. Well, you know, uh, the average ICE agent, I don't think that they're out there with evil intent and they're all,
No, I don't. Yeah,
rooted
I don't
with,
think they are either. But there's enough of them that is there for that purpose.
yeah. But they're
Especially,
caught in a bad place. They're unfortunately having to execute orders and directives that are sort of beyond what should be done in a legal society.
but
And
I'm gonna go back to the thing I said in the beginning. In a sense, they are the ones that are being hired are meeting minimal qualifications with less
yeah,
training,
yeah.
and they're portraying themselves, in my opinion, for every place I've watched it, as
Hmm.
police officers, not
Yeah,
immigration enforcement officers.
yeah,
And asking someone to show their passport as proof of identity scares me.
yeah.
However, when your state issued ID is no longer legal, scares me.
Right.
Uh, it's because of the place we're in, it's like the waters are being tested in Minnesota for what could happen in November.
Right.
Just my theory and my opinion. I agree with a lot of others that have similar opinions. It scares me because also makes me wonder about another movie because I'm kind of a movie geek. The movie Red Dawn, which was made twice. Older than you might remember Red Dawn.
Hmm.
Those who are movie buffs have the United States were invaded second time by China. First time it was invaded in the first movie by Russia, but the invasion is happening from within. But dictators are being people that's been labeled as dictators are being applauded, and democracy and fairness and due process is being kicked to the curb. And it saddened me in a sense that it took people who were non people of color, white folks, to bring this to the forefront of things. It saddens me that in less than 18 months, we are now here. and we don't have to be here because I, we can say Trump all day long. I still personally believe that power brokers behind him pulling the strings.
Yeah.
I've been on TikTok. I use TikTok. I see how the algorithm shifted on certain content. But when it comes, because before the new ownership took over, there were a lot more videos, a lot more presentations, a lot more things happening
Yeah.
of what's happening in this country. Uh, and even as a podcaster, diving into this topic tonight, it sort of scared me because it's uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yes.
But I had another guest on talking about immigration last year, but because of her, some of her family members possibly being targeted by the administration in the beginning of its early stages, uh, she was wary of what she spoke on and what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been an international diplomat, and she was very cautious about some of her phraseology. And she let me know off camera that some of my family members can be targeted.
Yeah.
And that's before it got to this point.
Yeah.
So having you on tonight, I'm like, I don't know where this podcast will show up at, but we're going to stay on point
Yeah.
because things have definitely changed, and we have to be cautious here. That's one thing I want you to get into a little bit before we get off of here, because this we can go an hour and a half, but I can't do it
Sure.
tonight.
Sure.
One of the bullet points was how to immigrate from the U.S. or Canada. Just give us a little snippet about what that might involve for those that are considering such.
Sure. Okay. Basically, in the immigration field, there are 5 ways that you can immigrate either to the United States or Canada. So
Okay.
I'll go through the 5 ways for people who are
Okay.
thinking about it. I'm thinking of people in the United States who may be thinking, gee, I'm not sure I'm happy here. Would Canada be an option? And I'm also thinking about Canadians who, notwithstanding everything, have an interest in going to the United States. For example, investors who are buying properties or things like that.
Okay.
So the 5 ways basically boil down to this. Number 1 way is if you have a family member that can sponsor you. The best way is if you have a spouse who will sponsor you. That's a reasonably quick way for you to be able to immigrate either to the United States or Canada. In the case of the United States, there's a thing called a fiancé visa for those who want to dip their toe in the water before they jump in, so they can invite their fiancé in, and then
Okay.
everything works up, gets married, and then sponsor for permanent residence. Canada doesn't have that. But getting married and moving is one definite way. Other more distant family members can sponsor. For example, brothers and sisters, mother, father, can sponsor son, daughter, things of that nature. And more details, you have to talk to an immigration lawyer or do some research to figure that out. But that's number 1, is family-based immigration.
Sure.
Number 2 is an area you've talked about here tonight, and that's the area of asylum, or
Okay.
what's called refugee status, generally internationally. So if you are someone who fears that they will be persecuted by their country of origin, their citizenship country, and you want to escape from that fear, so it's called a well-founded fear of persecution based on the traditional grounds that are accepted, that are things like race, religion, ethnic origin, social class, gender, things of this nature. If you have a well-founded basis of fear, let's say you show up on the doorstep of the United States or on the doorstep of Canada, you can claim asylum in the United States or refugee status in Canada, and you can get in that way to either country. A third way is you can study your way in. If you want to be a student and you sign up, for example, to college, and you're accepted in a college in the United States or Canada, You can get a student visa, and once you have a student visa, over time you can progress through from student to postgraduate student work permit, and from work permit to a simple work permit, or H-1B visa in the United States, for example, and from H-1B visa to a green card in a process that can be followed. A fourth way is to invest your way in. So, for example, in the United States, there's a program called the EB-5 program, where if you invest 800,000 US dollars for a period of 5 years in what's called a regional center project, such as a hotel, an apartment building, housing development, especially rural, for example, projects. Oil wells is an example of a rural project. Low-cost housing outside the major cities is another example. Or infrastructure is another one, or high unemployment area. At any rate, any of those kind of projects, if you invest $800,000 for a period of about 5 years, at the end of the 5-year periods, you get your money back. Now, this is a commercial investment, so there's risk involved, but hopefully you would pick a project that's good. You can get a green card, permanent resident card, and eventually citizenship that way. And the final way, and the same is true in Canada. Well, the same was true in Canada with what was called the startup visa in Canada, but that's no longer around. There's still some provincial programs that can be used for investors to get into Canada. Then finally, the last way is to work your way into the United States or Canada. A traditional way, often that I am employed to help people with, is the so-called intercorporate transferee. This is a classic example would be a manager, let's say, in Tokyo for Toyota, is being transferred by Toyota from Tokyo to New York to manage a plant in the United States. That's a classic, what's called L1, intercorporate transferee visa, whereby the person, if he's worked overseas for 1 year in the last 3 years and comes to the US to manage or be an executive in the US, or even a person with specialized knowledge, they can get a work permit, and ultimately they can transition to permanent resident status under that program.
Okay.
A very similar program exists in Canada. It's called the Intercorporate Transfer ICT program, where someone can transfer from the United States, for example, to Canada and live in Canada. There's some slightly different rules involved there where you have to show significant benefit involved. So that's one of many work ways that a person can make their way into the United States or Canada.
Okay. Now, that leads me to ask the question. Suppose someone just takes up temporary residence in Canada. Is there a process once you've been there for so many years? Or how does that work?
It depends on what basis you came to Canada.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're a student, you can make your way through the system to get permanent residence.
Sure.
If you're a Canadian, there's a Canadian experience class category where if you work for 1 year for a Canadian company and you have the right qualifications, including speaking English, and you're young, etc., you can make your way to permanent residence. Of course, if you marry someone, that automatically works for you. So there are ways that a person who lives in Canada can become a permanent resident, but not everybody can.
Okay.
Some of them cannot. It depends on the way you came in.
Okay. I want to bring that up because, I mean, there may be someone out there now who wants to go to Canada, and it's like they're willing to leave everything behind and start a new life, new career in Canada.
Yeah.
And
That
I
can
guess
work. That can work. For example, if you or someone like you
yeah,
felt that you're being persecuted in the United States because of your race,
yeah,
and you had a bona fide belief that you are not being protected by your government, you could show up on the Canadian doorstep and say you want to claim refugee status by virtue of a well founded fear of persecution based on race. Canada would have to investigate that. And if you can establish that to be true, which, under Trump may very well be true,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
could
I'm kind
gain
I'm
permanent.
kind of laughing at it, but I agree with you 100% because in this current climate, there are so many people. Have some of these individuals out there on the protest lines, regardless of their race. Not many of us are out there now because a lot of us chosen to stay away. So it's not our direct
Yeah,
fight in a sense. But for the safety they're in, uh, are, have considered it or maybe are doing it. I don't know anyone personally
it's possible.
because after what the recent shootings with the targeting of little children,
Yeah,
people now real fear
yeah,
and it's being documented.
yeah,
It was like that was my cousin on the news that got picked up outside of Target.
yeah,
So if it can happen to
yeah.
my cousin working at Target, it can happen to me. So
It's
there's real fear there.
it's
Yeah,
viable.
yeah.
I will share this story with you. There are
Okay.
clients that I have that are leaving the U.S. and have left the U.S. come to Canada
Yeah,
because of the concern over what has developed in the
yeah,
United
yeah,
States.
yeah,
So that's an example.
yeah. I want to grab that in as we wrap this up because
Yeah,
this is real time stuff. The days in a day when I've not really dove into a lot of news. Normally I get into social media, and then when I get into social media platform, I'll look at this angle, I'll look at that angle.
yeah,
I'll look at some of the most hated people now, Don Lemon. I don't go to CBS anymore because CBS is now another version of Fox, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
But I look at different angles. And now when I start seeing the Fox News Network, as they call it, and I guess that's the right term for them, uh, now questioning what's happening. It's hard to doubt what others are saying. When one of the primary promoters is now saying this is wrong.
yeah,
Uh, that all being said, I didn't think we'd go an hour. We did. This topic had to be discussed right now.
yeah.
Uh, and I think I'm going to reach out to you again before, maybe over the summer or something, see how things have progressed and get more insights.
That'd be
Uh,
great.
anyone wants to reach out to this gentleman, the links are in the text. Website is there.
Yeah,
Reach out to him. His website.
let me just share. One good place to look me up is on YouTube. I have a channel. It's called The Big Picture with Andy Semotiuk. The name is
Uh,
spelled like,
you should be able to type it. You should be able to type it in up there somewhere to pop up over here.
okay, I don't know
If
if I
you
know.
no
Maybe I'm
problem.
not
Let me see.
sure.
Let me get it for you. Let me find it real quick.
Sure,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take you off the thing.
no problem.
Uh, boy.
Yeah, it's called, again, it's YouTube. It's my channel, and the channel is The Big Picture with Andy Semotiuk. And Alfred will probably put it up for me there on the
Yeah,
screen.
I'm gonna find it now.
And Semotiuk is spelled, in case Alfred can't find it, is Semotiuk. Semotiuk. The Big Picture with Andy Semotiuk. Otherwise, you can reach me at pacelawfirm.com. Ask for
Yeah,
Andy.
that's in the link. I got that one.
Right, right. So either way, they can reach me, and I'd be delighted to help anybody with immigration issues.
I'm gonna get you like I'm listening. We're listening. We're still live,
Okay,
Cecil.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Continue talking.
So I'm just saying, anybody who would like to reach out to me, I'd be happy to talk to them about immigration. And I write for Forbes. If you're interested in stuff that I might write, I write about immigration for Forbes. You can look me up there. Just look up Andy Semotiuk Forbes, and you'll find my
This,
columns.
yeah, I just shared it with everyone on
Oh, there you
YouTube.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I stay on YouTube. I
Well,
got
thank
it.
you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. This is good. This has been good. But for anyone who has caught this by means of YouTube or will catch it on a replay, as I always say, there'll be an audio version on Spotify. Head over to Spotify. Please subscribe on Spotify or wherever you listen to audio podcast at. This show will be transcribed to audio. I'm not gonna do it tonight, but I'll have it done by Saturday. So Apple, Google, Spotify, check it out in audio format. Because of the content we hear tonight, I'm actually going to run it on Spotify for everyone recorded on YouTube. We're running as video on Spotify as well. So there'll be audio and video over there. Please, and I'm going to put a poll up over there for, put a poll up there. That's what people, where the heartbeat is at, my global audience. Normally, I would say something like this off camera. I'm saying it on camera because immigration in America has taken a dark turn.
Yeah.
People are fleeing the country that people once fled to. And the YouTube channel is there. I've already subscribed to it. And please, everyone, one of my favorite quotes, I'm going to paraphrase it, is that evil wins when good men or good people do nothing.
Yeah.
I do not want to see this country turn into a V for Vendetta type storyline. Don't know what it is. Look it up. The movie where America took a dark turn, and we were definitely no longer the haven for immigrants. We were their so-called third world country and everything else. Uh, Thank you for chat time. Again, another person's chimed in. Watch the full episode on YouTube. Um, Great information there, everyone. Thank you, sir, for coming on. I'm gonna take you off camera for a few moments. I'll come right back on with you in a second. So have an amazing weekend. If you're here in North Carolina, we're about to face probably one of the worst snowstorms we've had in many years this upcoming weekend. It's already been set. So all my listeners, please be careful out there. Travelers, public service workers, which I've retired from being a public service worker. Those in Canada and other places that get weather like this all the time, you know how to prepare. We don't. Salt plow operators, people, salt plow operators, police officers, first emergency personnel. Anyone who watches this podcast, listen to it. Please be careful. I appreciate your service. I once was one of you a year or so ago. I'm not there now. Uh, Sacrifices are made, and I know it's the topic of not topic of this show, but this is the time where we need to come together for everyone's benefit and safety, whether it's a storm because of the political climate or a physical storm. Thank you, sir, again. Y'all have an amazing weekend. And I should see everyone Saturday with my next guest. I'm going to give a shout out to it's totally different topic. Creating safe spaces for professional growth. Uh, Should be my topic for this upcoming Saturday. But Andy, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Alfred. I love.
And when I do reach out to you, I'm saying some things on camera right now. Please catch part 2 of this. I will bring this gentleman back. Uh, I wasn't sure how this was going to go because the last one went good, but this has been great. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
I'll take your camera about 45 seconds. This has been another episode of Life is About More Than Living, the podcast. Please subscribe to it wherever you listen to your podcast at. And we're going to thank you for your patience as we took a deep dive into the topic of immigration this evening. Have an amazing week, y'all.